Hello, my name is Joe, and welcome to my channel, Joe's Book and Movie Corner. It has been a while since I've made a video. Over the past 2 months, my life has gotten much more busy, both my work life and at home. I've made repeated reference to my wife and I. We discovered that sometimes new people just appear, and they take your time and attention and need your care. And it was just a total shock to us. So that has been keeping me very busy. And also my work has, it's keeping me really busy. I'm much more busy now than during the day. It used to be I work from home. It used to be I could just, every once in a while, I didn't have much to do, so I could make a YouTube video. Now that is not the case. But I wanted to go ahead and make another entry in my SF Odyssey series. So I've made a few episodes now. A few videos documenting my journey through science fiction. I have an interest, or I have a desire, to learn more about the genre, to understand its history, and I'm enjoying kind of bouncing around between the various decades and the various eras. And I'm also trying to think about my science fiction a little bit more, not only to see what's different about each era, but try to understand maybe what is science fiction? What is the genre doing? And how does each book that I encounter, how is it accomplishing the goals of being a science fiction book, if that makes sense? So there's a great series by the outlaw bookseller, Stephen E. Andrews. I think it's the 4 or 5 videos he has called The Elements of SF. And he talks about something, about subjects such as the conceptual breakthrough. I kind of perceive that, and maybe I'm getting these definitions wrong. It's actually been a while since I've watched those videos. But the conceptual breakthrough, as I understand it, is kind of an aha moment where either a paradigm shift is revealed or understood. So what's the paradigm shift? Well, the paradigm shift is caused. It's a change in society, whether it's a technological change or it's a change caused by a new thing, the novum. And is this change, it could be technological or some change in society, but it's going to change life as we know it in some way. And that's the paradigm shift, and the conceptual breakthrough, I think, is the kind of the aha moment or the revelation of that paradigm shift. And another element of science fiction, and this is what I want to focus on today in this video, is cognitive estrangement. And it has been a while since I've seen his video on cognitive estrangement. So I'm just kind of going on my memory, and it's simply put, it's the feeling, maybe, at least the way I perceive it, the feeling before the conceptual breakthrough. Maybe I'm describing it wrong. I'll talk more about it as I get into it, but it's kind of like you're reading a book, a science fiction book, and you're kind of maybe a little confused, or there's this sense of I don't quite understand, and yeah, I'll talk more about it. So the 2 books that I'm going to talk about today are, one, The Gamesman by Barry N. Malzberg, and then I also read, so I wasn't planning on talking about this one, but I have a connection to the next book. The next book is The Day of the Triffids by John Wyndham. Now, I mentioned this book before on the channel. This was one of my favorite books that I read in 2025. It made the top 10 list. And I will say, too, that it's been a while since I've read these books. My ability to find time to make videos has been tough. Also, I've been sick, and I'm getting sick right now. You can probably, if my energy starts to go down, it's because I'm not feeling very well. But yeah, so I'll talk about John Wyndham, and then I will give just a short TBR for my science fiction reading that I'm planning on doing the next few months. So let's go ahead and get started. And by the way, if you want to skip ahead to just the John Wyndham book, look down in the description. You'll see timestamps. So The Gamesman by Barry N. Malzberg. Why did I want to read Barry N. Malzberg? I also, thanks to Stephen E. Andrews, he and Michael K. Vaughan have both guided me on selecting TBRs and selecting authors to check out. And Malzberg is one of those authors. I've mentioned another author that made my top 10 list was D.G. Compton. I read his first science fiction novel, The Quality of Mercy, and I loved it. I thought it was really good. And on the Outlaw Booksellers channel, either on a Malzberg video or a Compton video. He relates the two authors. If you like one, you might like the other one. So I wanted to check out Malzberg. And why did I pick this one? The Gamesman is from 1975. It's not his first novel. It's in the middle of the 70s. It seems to be just in the middle of his bibliography. I picked this one really because at the time I was going to get it, I had recently watched Squid Game. I had read In the Dark by Richard Lehman. These are both kind of death game stories. And I am fascinated by death game type stories. And I was thinking that maybe this was going to be something like that. So it's called The Gamesman. The characters are playing a game. I thought it was going to be maybe death game-ish, and it really wasn't. I'll just say I respect this book, but it didn't really do it for me. I'm not going to go too much into detail into the plot. Also, I don't remember much. I read this book a few months ago now. I think it was November that I read this. But I can say that the experience of reading this is very odd. I mean, it made me immediately think about this idea of cognitive estrangement. I think anytime, the narrator is, if he's not unreliable, you're not getting a full picture of the setting of the SF world. So the main character is playing a game, and you jump kind of around in time. Sometimes he's playing the game, and sometimes you're seeing scenes where he's been promoted to the gamesman, and he's running the game. And there's different levels to this game. We're thrown right into this world without any context. We're jumping around in time. The narrator sometimes, and it took me a minute to catch this, but sometimes the book is written in first person and sometimes it's in third person. And within a single scene, sometimes it switches perspective. I think when I was reading it, I had an idea by the end of it. Okay, this is why the main character is first person and then switches to third person. I don't remember now because, again, the book, it hasn't really stuck with me. It didn't really do it for me. But it was interesting. There's this idea of cognitive estrangement where you're like, what's going on? I don't understand what's going on. And in this book's case, that feeling comes from the writing itself and how you're not really given enough information about what's going on. You're trying to piece it together as you go. And there is kind of an aha moment at the end. It's not a really big moment. I won't say too much about it, but I will say that the entire book, you're asking yourself as the reader, this sense of estrangement. You're like, what is this game? What is the point of it? How are they playing it? There doesn't appear to be any set rules. What is going on? From one game to the next, or one person's game to the next, they're doing entirely different things. So it's really confusing. It's kind of dark. If you like that feeling of just being thrown into a world, you will probably like this. I mean, I would recommend it, especially if you like something kind of dark, maybe nihilistic. But as I've said, it didn't really do anything for me, but I'm glad I read it. Now, I want to read more Malzberg. He has another book called Tactics of Conquest, and it's about a chess match, 41-game chess match between two players representing good and evil. So I almost picked that one. That's another book about a game. And I do want to read that one. I do like chess. So yeah, I want to check that one out. So I want to read more Malzberg, but as far as the SF authors that I kind of have my sights set on, this first book I read by him did not really do it for me. And to explain more about the sense of cognitive estrangement, I felt a similar feeling when reading the Burning Chrome short story collection by William Gibson. Gibson is another author that kind of throws you in the middle of things. Now, I find with Gibson, sometimes my sense of just estrangement comes from, I don't know what's happening in the scene. Malzberg is not like that. I'm never confused as to well, maybe I'm a little bit, but it's in my opinion, it's not as frustrating as Gibson's writing. I do want to, Gibson is very well regarded. I do want to read Neuromancer. But his writing so far I find a little bit frustrating. Malzberg's not like that, so I want to continue on with Malzberg. Another, aspect of this cognitive estrangement, I've mentioned that anytime I think you have an unreliable narrator, you can get this kind of off-kilter feeling as the reader. And one obvious example that I thought of, and it's not even science fiction, is The Devil by Dostoevsky. I mean, you're asking as the reader, am I seeing literal events? Is this what's really happening? Or in the Dostoevsky's case, it's been like 20 years since I've read The Devil. But you start asking, am I just in the mind of like a paranoid schizophrenic? So yeah, that's kind of in this style of writing. That's, I think, what we're talking about here with cognitive estrangement. But in the next book, it's a little more straightforward, a little different. So the next book that I want to talk about, and this one I really did like, was John Wyndham's The Day of the Triffids. It was excellent. I strongly recommend it. I recommend it for SF readers, but also for horror fans. If you like zombie movies, you should absolutely watch this. I mean, it starts out with a character waking up in a hospital, and he's apparently missed the apocalypse. Does that sound familiar to you? So, it's not the first story where a character wakes up from a long sleep and bad things have happened. But I mean, if you've seen 28 Days Later, if you've seen the Dawn of the Dead TV series, or excuse me, the Walking Dead TV series, this is going to be familiar for you. And this predates it. So this book, it's not about zombies. So it is a man wakes up in the hospital. It's strangely quiet. And it's like, why is no nurse coming to check on me? And he's kind of slept through the apocalypse. And there's two aspects to the apocalypse. And minor spoilers here, but that's all right. Before I get to the spoilers, again, they're not big spoilers. At the beginning of the novel, we don't know what's going on. We have no idea. Something horrible has happened. It's very quiet. And the character feels this sense of, I think, I would call it cognitive estrangement. He doesn't know what's going on. And we, as the readers, are with the character. So we're experiencing it in a very relatively straightforward way with the character. And then we get the moment of, hey, this is what the paradigm shift is. Here's this new thing that's happened. It's an event. It's actually a couple events. And then here's life is just going to be totally different after this. So what happens? Now, so to compare to Malzberg, where Malzberg sustains that sense of estrangement through pretty much the whole novel. Yeah, there's a little aha moment at the end, but even when things are explained, it's not really explained that much. Whereas this, pretty early on, you get this is the event that has happened, and here this is how life is going to be very different from now on. So what has happened? There's these. Before the novel, this new plant has been discovered called Triffids, and they're basically these giant Venus flytraps. They can walk. It turns out that they have these stingers. They're very dangerous, and they are also carnivorous, so they'll sting you. If you get stung by one, you're gonna fall, keel over, and it's gonna eat you. So these things are really scary, but they've been, at least in England, where this story takes place, they have been tamed, and the population is in control. And they're relatively not a danger. They've been like corralled. And something has happened at the start of this novel. We figure out like that almost the entire population of at least London has gone blind. There was reports of this strange meteor shower that has happened, and it caused blindness. And now that the blindness has happened, I mean, obviously that's bad enough. But the main character, who's an expert on Triffids, he was blinded by a Triffid, so he did not see this green light that blinded everyone. So he's okay. He still has his sight, and he finds a few other people that were lucky enough to retain their sight. So after that, I mean, we understand the paradigm shift pretty early on in the book, and then it's surviving now in this new world. There's these really cool, like, what would you do in this situation? They're trying to find other people. Do they have to be careful of the blind? Are they going to become like a hot commodity? It's like, if a group of blind people, if they capture a sighted person, that sighted person now might be a slave to gangs of blind people. That's one, that's one scenario that's presented, and there's other scenarios too, and you see these people kind of survive as they get deeper and deeper into this post-apocalyptic world. And then, of course, the guy is a Triffid expert, and he's warning people like, "Hey, no one's taking care of these Triffids. These things are really dangerous. This species of plant is just waiting to take over." And now that most people are blind, these things are going to be a really major problem. And so you can see how this is similar to a zombie story. So there's two kind of zombie aspects. One that's the blind people kind of are almost zombie-like. And then the Triffids themselves are also zombie-like. So the book is really, really good. I strongly recommend it. It's really horrifying. The beginning of it was just dark and disturbing. I think it was SF author Brian Aldiss, I think, described Wyndham as like cozy apocalyptic fiction. And maybe I get what he's saying towards the end of the book. As the main characters are kind of set up, they've reached some level of comfort. It's not going to last, but they've reached a level of comfort. They kind of know what they're doing, how to survive. But this story in the beginning especially is so bleak and dark. And almost in the beginning, it was almost like bumming me out. I've mentioned I'm sick a lot now. I'm sick right now. I was reading it as I was getting sick, and it was like really kind of almost bumming me out. I mean, my sickness affected the experience, and it really kind of frightened me. Rarely does a horror book affect me like that. So yeah, highly recommend this book. It's excellent, and if you want to see where I think a lot of zombie stories got their thing, this is a major foundational story. I haven't read I Am Legend yet, but I know that's another one. Also, Alfred Hitchcock's movie The Birds is very similar, kind of proto-zombie fiction. Obviously, not it's about birds, not zombies. But yeah, it makes me actually want to read. I'm not a big Richard Matheson fan, but I do want to read I Am Legend. So, and I'll probably I'm going to be comparing it to Day of the Triffids, I think. One point of criticism, though. I mean, again, I loved it. It made my top 10 list. But one thing that almost frustrated me a little bit was in the end, and I won't outright spoil anything, but I mentioned that there's like this green light. Did that cause the blindness? And we're left questioning, like, what really did cause the blindness? And it's like coincidental that something has made us blind, and now that it gives the Triffids a chance to, like, this is their time to take over the world. So you're wondering, are these two events, are they related? Is it just a coincidence? And there's more speculation later on in the book, but one thing that bugged me was I felt like the characters didn't question that enough. I felt like at least the two main characters we're introduced to, they should have had more of a conversation. I mean, maybe that's too much exposition, but I felt like that would be natural. And throughout the book until the very end, there's not enough talking about, well, what caused this blindness? What really caused it? And why did we escape it? Like, and they should have been asking, I think, other sighted people, hey, why are you not blind? And nothing was really asked. Or nothing, there wasn't a lot of conversations like that. But I don't know. That's one thing that bugged me. Oh, and at the end, again, are things... Again, this is where we are getting into minor spoilers here, but are things as connected as maybe they should have been? I don't know. There's something that wasn't 100% satisfying with the possible explanations as to what's really going on. But these are very minor complaints. The book was great. I strongly recommend it. All right, so that's it for the two books that I read. So you get 2 in 1 for this video. And also, as I mentioned, I will give I want to talk briefly about what I want to read next. So if you've seen some other videos by me, I've mentioned this year, at least the first half of the year, I want to focus on longer books, and I want to focus on nonfiction. And with nonfiction, it's military history and biographies centered around both the American Revolution and World War II. So those are my 2 historical events that I want to focus on. But I also want to read lots of SF, and I have a huge pile of unread science fiction. So this first book that I want to talk about, it's by Clifford D. Simak. It is Shakespeare's Planet. So I've had this on my shelf since I actually found it during the Shake-Tember Booktube event. And I just bought this on a whim. I thought, like, oh, I'm reading Shakespeare. Here's an SF book. I've heard of Clifford D. Simak. He wasn't an author that was like super on my radar, but I'd heard of him, and I kind of just bought this on a whim. Now I wasn't planning on reading it, but if you inhabit the corner of Booktube that I do, you know about the passing of Sean D. Steadfast. Sean was a big science fiction fan, and his favorite author was Clifford D. Simak. So a lot of booktubers who knew Sean and were aware of him are going to be reading works by Clifford D. Simak. I've actually already started reading some short stories by him on my Kindle. Now, it's a shame that, I didn't really watch Sean's channel. I've seen a couple of his videos. I know he was a science fiction fan. So yeah, as I get to this, as I get back, I'm reading nonfiction right now, but as I get back into science fiction, yeah, I should definitely check out his old videos. But yeah, just in his honor, yeah, I'm going to read some Clifford D. Simak. So I'm really excited to read that one. I was going to wait until next September to maybe read this, but I think I'll read this as my next science fiction book. Okay, the next book I want to talk about, I have mentioned this before on the channel, but I want to read this very soon. It is The Drowned World by J.G. Ballard. I received this for Christmas, so I am on a book buying ban, but I still asked for books for Christmas. So this is a really nice 50th anniversary copy. I've already got it in the Mylar. It's just a really beautiful book. I've showed it off on the channel before. I really like it, and I like showing this off, but it's got a really nice, beautiful color to the book, and the jacket is really cool. So yeah, I'm really excited to read this. I've read a handful of J.G. Ballard short stories, and I really like him as a writer. I've loved what I've read from him so far, so I'm very excited to read this. Okay, this next book, again, I've showed these before in a book haul, Christmas book haul video, but I'm probably not going to read this very soon, but this is more of showing off just the author. I've mentioned him in this video, but this is D.G. Compton. This is the continuous Catherine Morton-Ho, and this is the New York Book Reviews, right? New York Book Reviews copy. Is that how you say it? New York Review of Books, excuse me. So this is the New York Review of Books copy. Most of Compton I have on my Kindle. I have pretty much, I think, all of his SF stories. There's a great, I think it's by Galance, but there's a line of books called SF Gateways. It's a line of ebooks on Amazon. They're very, very cheap. $1, $2, $3 a piece. And most of Compton's work, or at least his science fiction, I picked up because I want to go through his books one by one, just kind of one after the other as he wrote them. So it's probably going to be a minute until I get to this. So I'm really just showing this off to just talk about the author again. The reason I'm not going to be reading this probably anytime soon is because there's so much more I want to read before I get to this point. But I do have this, so I'm very excited. And I have a physical copy of this because the ebook, it's like the one SF ebook by him that was not a part of this SF Gateway line, and it was much more expensive, so I have the physical copy. And lastly, there's a lot more SF that I could show you, but I just want to kind of stick to new acquisitions. And this is actually not... This is probably fantasy, but I want to show it off anyway. It's Tales of the Dying Earth by Jack Vance. This is 4 novels in one omnibus collection. This is, I know it's referred to as fantasy, but Jack Vance is an SF author. I have read a little bit from Jack Vance. I've read some novellas and short stories. The Dragon Masters and The Miracle Workers are both really good novellas. And I really like his writing. And with those 2 stories, I know he straddles the line between SF and fantasy. So I know this one is probably more fantasy, but I want to call it out here. I don't know. Depending on how, maybe I'll talk about it when I read it in my this SF Odyssey series. But maybe, I don't know, maybe I'll start a new series about fantasy. Because Lord knows I have a lot of fantasy, too, to get through as well. But yeah, I'm excited to read this. Yeah, it's a big, thick thing. That's not too bad. It's about 700. Yeah, it's pretty thick. So I'm reading a little bit slower this year, so this is going to take me a while to get through. I also want to read thicker books this year. But anyway, I'm excited to have this. So that is all for now. It might be a minute until I do another SF video. I have a lot of nonfiction that I want to get through first. But that's all for now. Thank you.